Let's start out with best thing you saw this past week.
Best thing I saw this past week. Well, how do you go against our boy Brandon Zylstra making the Carolina Panthers 53-man roster? So proud of that young man. He's the second greatest receiver of all time here at Concordia College.
Well, Tory Langham was up there.
Just kidding. He is the number one receiver at Concordia College that I've ever seen play, and so happy for him. He deserves everything he gets. He works so hard. And Carolina, I know you've got a great catch in Brandon Zylstra.
All right, let's talk about the season. We would have been preparing for Wisconsin and Whitewater this week, the second game of the season. You obviously probably would have come off a win against La Crosse.
Absolutely.
And you're
still undefeated.
Still undefeated. You're 1-0. Now you're preparing for Whitewater. Just take us back to 2017 when you played them here and you beat them on a dramatic last-second, goal line stand. What do you remember from that game?
Well, obviously we found a way to win. It was a lot of big plays. It was a physical matchup, two well-coached teams. Kevin Bowles is a good friend of mine. He's the head football coach at Wisconsin Whitewater, but their storied tradition, winning that game really just solidified things for us that we can contend. I served on the NCAA football committee for 4 years, and in 4 years I was at that national championship game, and 3 out of those 4 years Whitewater was there. So I got a chance to watch them practice. I got a chance to just see how they operate, and it's a first-class organization. So for us to get that win, that put us up on the pedestal, in my opinion.
Now, preparing for Whitewater, is that any different than preparing for the top teams in the MIAC, or do you do anything different when you would prepare for Whitewater?
Yeah, that's schematically there's some similarities and stuff, but very similar to those upper teams within our league. St. John, St. Thomas, that physical style play. Bethel can be put in there with the size of linemen that they have here lately too. But it's a physical brand of football, and you just got to be well sound, fundamentally, and you need to know your assignments. It's going to be a physical matchup, and they are who they are. They're not going to just go out and run trick plays or anything like that. They're going to come right at you. But certainly is a strong football program, and one that we very much have enjoyed that contract with those guys.
Let's move to the coaching staff now, because you'd be preparing for Whitewater, which would put a lot of pressure on your coaching staff.
Right.
Many people might not have known the different kind of changes you've had in the past since the spring. Take us through those assistant coaches changes and who's on personnel that might be different now.
Yeah, so we have two really good changes. Everett Fandrich is a gentleman who is volunteering with us. He moved his wife here to Moorhead. He's working for the Minnesota Department of Corrections, and he played his football days at Presentation College. He coached actually down in Morris, University of Minnesota Morris, last year. He's originally from Alexandria. So he moved to Moorhead, wants to still get in the college game, so he's going to be coaching our tight ends. So we're excited for Everett. And then Nate Myers, our very own Nate Myers, graduated this past spring. Nate played in our program. Not many people know this, but Nate was actually the head football coach at Richland Colfax last year. And Nate is an elementary ed major. He wants to get into college football coaching, and so he is helping us out. He's doing a little part-time gig in a classroom over in West Fargo since we've moved our season to the spring. So adding those two guys to our program since the spring has been really solid.
And one thing you're forgetting too is since the spring, since early maybe in February-ish, you've got a new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, we do. We want to keep that under the hats, though. But Travis Titus is my new offensive coordinator. Probably one of the brightest offensive minds that I've ever been around. He's been in college coaching for over 13 years. He's been an OC at several different stops, but he was on our staff last year. Him and his wife moved up to the Fargo-Moorhead area. She teaches over at Fargo North. He wanted to still stay in the college game, and he was fortunate to find a full-time position over at Fargo Shanley High School, and he coached with us, and he just wanted to learn the option game. He wanted to learn how it was run and add that to his repertoire. So we're excited for him. Aaron Willits has decided to step down and head out into the working world, and we miss Aaron and wish him the best of luck, but getting Travis on board has been a huge plus.
All right, let's go through now kind of our weekly. We'll have a couple of weekly segments.
Okay.
And we started
Right.
with the best thing you saw. Now this one's going to be the top 4 list. Take
four
us through your top 4 non-Cobber, can't be a Cobber
Okay.
game, college football games that you've either seen in person or you've watched on TV.
Okay.
Number 4.
Okay, number 4. Number 4 definitely got, this one I watched, okay, and I know exactly where I was because I was in my living room. It was January 1st, and I believe it was 2007 Fiesta Bowl. How do you not love Boise State knocking off Oklahoma in overtime, running a Statue of Liberty play 4-2 to win it? Okay, so that's got to be number 4.
Okay, your trick play from you.
Trick play.
That's
Awesome.
impressive.
Well, it's the little guy playing the big guy. You gotta throw all.
And then the marriage proposal after they scored.
Yeah, that's it. I do remember that. I was the only one up, so I remember it. I remember exactly where I was.
All right, number 3.
Number 3, 1984. All right, going back a few years. My senior year in high school, to be honest with you, and I was in my living room watching Doug Flutie, Hail Mary, Boston College knocks off Dan Kostich and the U. Was just outstanding game, back and forth. It was like 47-45, something like that. But it was a great win for Boston College, and he ended up winning the Heisman Trophy that year.
And you see it on ESPN replays all the time. So that's
All the
awesome.
time.
I have a feeling the top 2 are going to be somebody you've seen in person.
Live, baby, live.
Number 2.
Number 2. Play like a champion today, okay? I got a chance.
I had a feeling Notre Dame would pop.
I got a chance. Everyone knows I love Notre Dame, okay? A lot of people feel that the change of the color of the helmet was because of Notre Dame. No, it was actually back to when Jake Christensen was coaching here. That's why we went with the Notre Dame gold helmet. Okay, but I got a chance in 1996 to go to Notre Dame in South Bend with my wife, and we watched Notre Dame play Rutgers. It was Lou Holtz's last game. And anybody knows anything about me knows that I love Lou Holtz, and just who he is as a person, but his motivational stuff. I've read a lot of his books. He's one that I love watching, okay? So at South Bend, it was like 60-something to nothing. I mean, it was cold. It was a miserable day, but I was in hog heaven, baby. It was God's country. It was unbelievable. It was a great, and we even actually, my wife and I went down to the ushers standing by the brick wall to get onto the field. It was grass then, now it's turf. And we asked at halftime if we could get onto the field and take a picture. And this is our Christmas picture. He goes, Christmas picture? Yeah, he says. So he took our camera. We had no cell phones then or anything like that. Took our camera, took a picture of us by the goalpost that had the Irish. Of course, I'm decked out in all my Irish gear. And little did we know that our little Miss Megan, who graduated from Concordia a couple of years ago, my wife was expecting at that point, and we didn't even know it. So Megan's in the picture as well.
That's awesome. Now, top 1. That's tough to beat.
That is tough to beat.
You got a number 1 now.
Number 1, and I'll tell you, if anybody ever can get to an Army-Navy game, you have to go. I was fortunate last year to take my son, and then Kyle Bakken, my defensive coordinator, and his son Jonah. The 4 of us got a chance to go out to Philadelphia and watch Army take on Navy. A good friend of mine, Jeff Bunkin, is head football coach at Army, and then Clayton Kendrick Holmes, who I served on a D3 football committee with, had coached with Monks back at Navy, and Monks brought him on as his chief of staff and director of football operations. So we had passes on the field, we were talking with the players, we were getting pictures. Heck, my son Tommy and I are on the field afterwards for both Army's alma mater and Navy's alma mater, and we took pictures at midfield. Jeff Munkin and Clayton Kendrick Holmes, they rolled out the red carpet for us. We got to go in their locker rooms, got to go into their team meetings, and stayed at their team hotel. It was probably one of the coolest experiences ever. Now again, get it, not everybody is ever going to experience that, but That game was electrifying. It was so cool. That's why we're getting Tsunami, and it's going to be played before every Cobber football game at the beginning. James Sella, you got to get on that with our video board. But that's number one.
Awesome. That's a great list of the top 4. And then we'll leave every week with, what are you looking forward to in the next week coming up?
Yep. So what I've been starting to do right now, since we've been, pushed back a little bit with practices, as I've been bringing in each of my freshmen. I'm meeting with all my freshmen one-on-one, just to check in on them, see how they're doing, how their classes are going, how their dorm life is, and then just talk about some of our rules and regulations and things within our program. And I'm enjoying that. I really am. I haven't seen a lot of these guys since like January, and then when you're not with them for 4 or 5 weeks on campus, it's good to meet. We just shut the door. It's just the 2 of us, and we meet, and it's awesome. Okay. I'm also looking forward to our staff's continued success with our recruiting. We've been off to a great start. We've had a lot of kids on campus thus far. We've been kind of pushed back a little bit, but we're building for the rest of the month and even into October. And it's pretty much every day, even into the weekends. Looking forward to that. We're started some workouts. Our strength coaches are doing our non-mandatory workouts. Our kids are out doing things on the football field right now. We're not able to get into the weight room quite yet, but we're able to start doing some things. And that'll lead us into our first practice. I can't wait for our first practice, Jim. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to the next week.
Awesome. Can't wait to hear from you next week. We talk about the best thing you saw this week. Thanks, Terry.
Awesome. Thanks, James.